So as you guys can see, I run a sawmill and we use these M18 chainsaws for so many things. The reason that we use them is because on carbureted steel saws and stuff, they work really good as long as you have someone that one can, mix fuel perfectly, keep that maintained, someone that will check the breather, someone that will just maintain the saw. Now, we stopped using steel chainsaws for our smaller stuff about 6 years ago. And I'm going to show you why and why we swapped over to electric saws. In this environment here, when you're in a building like this, you've got a lot of fine dust. Now, on the steel chainsaws and stuff, the little breathers that were on them, now I don't have one right here right now, but I'll get one and show you if I need to. But, on a regular saw, you've got a breather because it's a regular engine. On these electric ones, you do not have that. And so I swapped over to originally these Milwaukee saws when they first come out. But there's quite a few issues with these as far as them being robustly made. And that's one of the things that I want to go over today. But I've been using these saws for at least 6 years now, and have not had any motor trouble, battery trouble, things of that nature. The trouble that we've had with these is, and I'll take this one off here and show you. One, sometimes the guys drop these in sawdust and then they can't find them. So you've got this here, you see we've used different nuts and put on there for lockers. But on this saw, one of the great advantages to it is you no longer have that. So on this new model, when you pull the little nut off, as you can see here, like when you undo it, see that there? It's sleeved. So it's not going to come off there. And then when you take this off, that's huge. So that's a big improvement over the regular saw because you can't lose the nuts anymore. Now, the next major issue that we've had with these, and I'm going to show you what we've had to do, but I'm going to take this one off, and then I'm going to remove this and show you what happens. So just give me a minute. Let me take this off, and then I'll show you. So as you can see here, this in behind your main cover and plate is a completely plastic shield plate in there. And that plastic housing holds your bolts down. Now the problem is, this saw here is probably about 1.5 years old. Now, we use these daily, 8 to 10 hours a day. So keep that in mind. This is for a hardcore user. This is not for the average person. But if you look right here, and you look in this housing, all this is plastic. And this is a really little fine threaded piece, barb, that moves the bar in and out. Now, I haven't had any trouble out of these, thank goodness. But if you look in here, these bolts pull up and then they spin inside that housing back behind there. So you've got to replace this whole faceplate and the bolts and everything. Now, on the new one, you can see right here, all of this behind here is metal. So no longer are you going to be having any trouble with those bolts pulling up through the housing. They're extremely industrial made and good looking, and it looks much sturdier than the old style. So that's going to be a huge improvement over all of these other M18 chainsaws. They've really, really improved that. One of the other things that I see that they've improved is how you get the scrinch out. So you see how that scrinch is in there? You cannot hardly get that thing out with your finger because of how deep it is. I can't even get my knuckle past in there to get any pressure to pull out. You have to basically force your finger and flip it out. So for me, time is money. So when my guys got to change a chain or something like that, and they struggle trying to get that scrinch out, they got to go get another screwdriver and stick it in there to get that out. that's a pain in the hind end. So you can come over to this one and literally pull up with your hand and out, and you've got that thing in a matter of seconds. So much better of a design that's made in there, and that's huge for guys that are trying to get that quick. You know, if you pop your chain off and you don't have a screwdriver or something to get out, you're going to be mad trying to get that out with your finger. Another thing, the dual battery, and we'll see that in the cutting test. The dual battery, they've got this forge on here. Now, these saws here, they pull so much power that if you don't run an M18 12-0 high output battery on it, they'll cut out in logs. So if you're cutting in a regular log with one of these and you don't have an M18 high output on there, you will not get proper cutting with this blade. It'll stop. Now, we have swapped to 050 bars and chains over the last 6 months to give it a little bit better power in the chain. It's not as little, but you get a better bite and a better cut with these. And that chain's a lot more common than the regular ones. I think there was like an 043 or an 042 on the original one. And I would say this new one, it's an 050. So this bar is the same, but this is a 20-inch bar on this, where these are a 16. I wouldn't recommend running anything over a 16 on this. I've yet to run this, so we'll see how this cuts. But as far as industrial, this is twice the chainsaw that this is. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these, if you're wanting one to pack around with you. I think that they have made huge leaps and bounds as far as robustness on these. We've also swapped to a full chisel chain on these smaller M18s, and you can see how there's no little dog in there to keep it from cutting down deep. So look in between the chains, and then look over here. You can see how there's a little double bar in there. This one isn't as aggressive of a chain as what's on that one. And these are a little bit closer, so it won't bite as hard, but this should be a really good comparison on between the two. All right, so this is a really dry ash log, and it's been sitting all summer long. So I'm gonna cut the end off this. This is squared up to about 14 inches wide, and I'm just gonna show you how this cuts, and then I'll take the M18, the old one, and show you how it cuts in comparison, just so you got an idea. You can see how fast that one cut that end piece off, and like I said, that is extremely dry ash. And now we're going to run this one through, and the chain on this is a full chisel, so it's as good a chain as you can put on these. It's a 050 bar, and this is a 16-inch bar. Yeah, I broke my little safety thing, don't pay any attention to that, but this is almost, look how there's only like a inch sticking out the other side of this. So we'll see how this does. Get the idea. This is a huge improvement. This is a brand new blade on this. It's already made that chain loose from putting it in there, pushing it that hard, and so I have to tighten that up. But this new saw is going to give you guys that are wanting to cut big stuff a really good advantage. You know, you can actually use a battery powered saw, and this just has the 8.0 forge on it. So you can go up to the 12.0 forge, which actually gives you even more power on this saw. And I've got two of those coming. When I get the two 12.0 forge on here, I'm gonna put it against a big steel and a big Husqvarna. But this will give you guys an idea. Like I said, that's extremely dry ash. And this would go through it, but it would take so much more time. You can see the difference in the size of these saws. This is just a industrial. You can actually use this on a big job site cutting stuff that you can't do with that other one, and it worked near as well.